This one here was going to be a DMR. We were going to be doing a full DMR job on it, but the customer's changed his mind and he'd rather use it as a battle rifle. And honestly, I do find the DMRs last longer than a battle rifle because you're firing less rounds through it inherently. However, when they're built correctly, obviously any gun can be good. And I prefer doing these than I do DMRs. This is what I prefer. Now, the good thing about this job is that the budget we did have has now dropped. And what I get to do to this is I get to take this SEMA Platinum with their MOSFET and their 13:1 gears and all the stuff they've got in here, and I get to optimize it for about 340 feet per second, and I get to optimize it to be the best it can possibly be, changing as fewer parts internally as possible. Now, he hates the pistol grip, I hate the pistol grip. We're getting rid of the pistol grip. We're going to put a regular M4 style pistol grip on it. The stock is going to go as well, but not yet. Everyone hates these stocks. They're absolutely vile. So the stock will go as well eventually. But we're going to be doing to this gun whatever we can to make it the best gun possible, but changing as fewer parts as possible. And my plan on this is to change nothing inside the gearbox, as in exchange out parts. Exchange no parts, just modify what's in there and potentially put a high-speed motor in there to run 7.4 or 9.9, or keep the motor and have it run 11.1. But the plan is lots of work, as fewer parts as possible. Right, let's have a little discussion about something. It's become more and more apparent to me over time that people don't understand basic terminology. You might have seen in the title of this video that we are going to be discussing trigger response. Don't you hate those fucking clickbait videos that tell you one thing, they tell you some shit's gonna happen, and it doesn't? Don't you hate that? Don't you hate those faked YouTube videos? Doesn't that piss you off? Pisses me off. Airsoft cheater exposed. How to get this amazing thing to do a thing. Isn't that fucking annoying? Oh. Well, I am not going to show you how to get the most amazing trigger response in the world. I'm not going to show you. How annoying is that? Because you clicked on the video and you thought that's what we're going to be talking about, but we're not, right? Trigger response. Ready? Trigger response is the time it takes from the trigger being pulled to the gun firing a BB. That's the trigger response. Ready? Instantaneous on one of these. Okay? Absolutely instantaneous. We'll do it again. So you've got a little bit of travel, look. And then instantaneous trigger response. Absolutely fucking instantaneous. That is trigger response. The time it takes the trigger to respond, makes the gun fire a BB out, off it goes. That is trigger response. People have been asking to see my Barrett. This is my favourite AEG, and this is the one that I fucked with so fucking heavily to make it the best trigger response on semi-auto that I can get. You can't even hear the gears turn, alright? Let's have a little fire, shall we? When I discuss trigger response, here it is. This is on a small 11.1. Are you ready? Trigger response. I want, when the bad guy comes around the corner, to be able to turn around real fast and pull the trigger, and I'm not waiting for my gun to cycle. I'm not pulling the trigger. Zip bang, zip bang, zip bang. I need that BB to come out the fucking end as soon as I pull the trigger, right? Trigger response. It's responding to me pulling it. I pull the trigger, boom, BB comes out. So if I take my Jericho here, and I pull the trigger on the Jericho, it fires. It's instant, ready? Instant. Now we're not talking about the trigger travel. We're talking about when the trigger breaks, and the gun fires. So that point there is instantaneous. Ready? Can I spam the fuck out of that like you could with a DSG? Of course you can't.
They burned my pads.
But the trigger response is the fastest it's going to be. Ready? When the trigger breaks, instantly the BB fired. Instantaneous trigger response. So let's move over to the Barrett. This has instantaneous trigger response. Ready? Bad guy comes around the corner, I spin, I need to be able to pull the trigger and have the BB come out of my barrel faster than he can pull his trigger and have the BB come out the barrel. Instantaneous trigger response. You can't even hear the gears go. Now, here's where people get confused. First things first, I have seen lots of comments recently, why are people using their middle finger to fire their gun? And the absolute shite that people come out with as to why they're firing their airsoft gun with their middle finger, it's fucking amazing. It's mind-boggling. Right? The reason is, or one of the reasons is, because your middle finger is finer and you can feel your trigger better. You're wearing gloves! Second reason, because it's easier to put your finger up here and point with your finger and use your middle finger to fire the gun, because you can acquire your target faster by pointing. I nearly agree with that. When you point at something with your finger, there it is, you point at something with your finger, you know, I can point at that bit there, I can point over here, I can point over there, I can point over there. I know exactly what I'm pointing at with my finger. So apparently, by putting your finger here and using your middle finger, it's easier to be on target. What a load of shit. What an absolute load of horsefuck. That is unbelievable nonsense. The reason they're using their middle finger is because A, they could be tired from all the finger fucking they're doing on their little DSG wanker gun, because they've got to be as fast as they can, because, you know, when you're covering a doorway, all you do is sit there and go like a fucking reprobate. And when that finger gets tired of doing this, they use that finger instead. That's the fucking reason. But the other reason, when you play Call of Duty, now I haven't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare, first one came out, because it's basically dull. I like retro games. I've got an emulator. I play all the classics, like proper games, where if you die, if you lose, you start again. Not if you die, you start from exactly where you were. But have you seen how you hold a controller when you play Call of Duty? Yeah? Left, right, left, right, left, right. Yeah? Turn. Forward, backwards. That one there. Bring your crosshair up. But they don't use that, because they just spank the area. There's your fire button. Middle finger. Tell me that's not a coincidence. Tell me there's not some kind of correlation in my crazy mind whereby the people who play all the Call of Duty games are using this finger. I know when I play I use this finger because that's my trigger finger, so that's why I have to switch between the two. That's how I play. But hardcore gamers, you'll see them, that's their trigger finger. Yeah? Basically, I blame Call of Duty. That takes a lot of effort to do that. I like to have some travel on my trigger. I don't like a trigger where it's literally half a millimetre of travel and it fires. I don't like that, all right? I like to have some movement and some play, because I then learn where the break point is. So if I fire it, ready? The break point's here. There is a big difference between trigger response and repeatable rate of fire. Rate of fire is how many BBs comes out of your fucking gun in a second, or a minute, or an hour, whatever, okay? We go with seconds. How many beeps come out of your gun in a fucking second? That is not trigger response. That's your rate of fire. And when your gun's on semi, and you flick the switch, go to semi, and you pull the trigger and do this, that's rate of fire, or repeatable rate of fire. That's not trigger response. Trigger response is when you pull the trigger and how long it takes the gun to fire the BB. Pull trigger, power, cycle, BB. Or, like this gun, trigger, power, motor, power, because I've butchered the shit out of this. Fire BB, cycle. I had to short stroke the gear and it's a steel gear, it's a single sector gear, and I think I've taken like fucking 5 teeth off of it or some shit. I've taken too many teeth off of it. I've got a massive spring and I've got a huge sector gear delayer, a massive sector gear delayer. Then it's actually an Aries gearbox inside it. All right, it is an Aries gearbox. All that stupid crap they put in the gearbox, all the EFC, whatever they want to call it, all that shit in there, I have basically I've bridged some of it a little bit so the power never stops flowing. The downside of this gun is when I plug the battery in, there is always power flowing from the battery. It's always drawing amps, no matter what. It's like an old school MOSFET. But it does mean when I pull the trigger and the motherfucker's ready to fire. Is that good for the gun? No, that's not good for the gun. This is my gun. I can do whatever I like to it. And if it breaks it, it's my fault, it's my gun. Would I do this for somebody else? Fuck no! That's a terrible idea, because it's gonna fucking break, you know? Don't do it, all right? Then I move the magnet from the gear to the other side of the gear so that when it pulls the solenoid down, it's in full precock. I then had to modify the back of the gearbox, literally remove the back of the gearbox, because Aries gearboxes don't fit in fuck all apart from Aries really. So I could fit it inside this Garda body. The outcome is a sturdy, stable, awesome gun. Now this does tend to break gearbox cases quite a lot, and yeah, I've over-volumed this as well because the length of the barrel is small. Yeah? So I'm able to get accuracy and range on this gun in full and in semi, and my trigger response is fucking excellent, but I'm not going to get the same accuracy at longer range because I have over-volumed it. But if I'm playing outside, I know that I know what the range is, I know what my capabilities are with this gun, and rather than just hose ammo into the distance, I'll get close to the target, or more likely, I'll wait till the cunt comes to me. Pretty simple. This is for inside use. This is for inside use. So it doesn't matter that it's over-volumed and that at long range the accuracy isn't as good, because I'm never going to be able to fire it at long range because it's for indoor use. This is my CQB gun. And it's fucking unstoppable. It's absolutely unstoppable. This is currently firing with a gearbox that is fractured on one side, completely cracked on this side. I can't be bothered yet to change one side of the gearbox casing because I rarely get to play anyway because I'm, you know, blah. So I'm going to leave it until that happens. When the other side breaks, then I'll fucking deal with it. I'll have to machine off the back of another gearbox and blah blah blah. What I've had to do with this is crazy. It's crazy to get this. But people, I think it's my most requested gun. My most requested gun. People have asked, can I open it up and show you what's inside? No, I'm absolutely not going to do that because it is an absolute shit cunt to take apart. It's absolutely horrible to take apart and put back together again. It's not pleasant. So I'm just not going to do that, all right? But there it is. But that is the difference between trigger response, rate of fire, and repeatable rate of fire. I don't play Airsoft to absolutely pump ammo into people. I play Airsoft and sneak around the place and put 1, maybe 2 in people. But what's the full auto like? Well, fuck me, it's just a normal rate of fire. Can you believe that? Okay, before I unveil the gun, I'm going to show you what I changed out, all right? Hop unit. As you know, a rotary hop unit is better than one of these, just because the way those wheels turn, or those cogs turn, they can unadjust themselves. Whereas with a rotary, it can't unadjust, right? The hot rubber. I put a maple leaf in there, and the Omega style nub. This the customer didn't like. And you know what? I don't like them either. They are far too fucking vertical. It's not comfy. I don't like it so much. But although you can just put the motor in and close it, there is such a massive risk with these fold closed hinged pistol grips. You put the motor in, and as you close it, you'll see it's not pushing the motor straight. See that? So that goes in there. It's on a spring. We're gonna make sure it's lined up, right? It's on a spring, yeah? Now, you've got to make sure your wire's in the right place. Now, when SEMA put these in there, you've got one at the back and one at the front. But you can see where it wants to sit, because that's right at the back. So it has to be back here, so I'll be putting both wires at the front, they put one up each side. Now watch this. If you were to put a regular base plate on, it pushes it down at a perfect angle. This, like, that is awful. I'm having to put my finger in there and move that around, right? So I can get that in there. So you've got to make sure that is deep enough inside. So you could just take out that big fucking nut. Just take it out. Well, no, you can't. No, you can't. Even that. Now, ordinarily, I'd take that out, so I just unscrew it that way, or that way. So I can put something in there, and I can unscrew it, and push it out in that direction, right? So there it is. And then I can push something through to hold the motor in the right place to close the grip. But because of the size of this fucking hole here, right, I can't get that screw back in. So I am forced to make that go in a pissed angle. That is not ideal. If you get it in there and it's fine, great. But if it's not fine and it goes in a funny angle, the first time you pull that trigger, you're fucking something up, and you'll get something like that. Look at the teeth on that. That's fucked up, right? I do not like those pistol grips. I've had arguments with people about the MOSFETs in these before. This is the first one of these that I've had die. And I know there are a lot of reports of these MOSFETs dying. I haven't experienced it yet at all until now. However, this MOSFET died, and I think it was likely to be my fault. This tiny arm sits there, and it activates when the trigger is pulled. It activates the micro switch. Right? That snapped off, but I think it might have been my fault because it was working, and then the spring on the trigger is quite tough, and I think I pushed it in an angle as I was closing the gearbox, and I think I broke that off. So what I've done, because I have numerous of these, I bought fucking loads of them because I like them. What I've done is I have just replaced the entire MOSFET with another completely standard one because I broke this, all right? And that's what you do when you break something. Do you want to see it? Looks cool, right? I can't take out this button without risking cracking the material up here. So I had to leave that in for painting. And if you know me at all, you know how much that fucking pains me. That really bugs the shit out of me. Urgh. Really annoying. But there it is. A nice green colour. Now, as a reminder, the plan on this gun was to make it the best gun I could without breaking the bank. Now, the guy I've built this gun for, I've done quite a few guns for him, and he's always wanted the best parts, max hop unit this and Titan that and just high speed this. And with this gun, he wanted a decent backup. And although it started out as meant to be a DMR, it was decided, fuck it, let's keep it as a battle rifle. I want to use it as a backup. Initially I said, let's try and use a high-speed motor, a set of 13:1 gears, and short stroke it, all the stuff I normally do, and run it on 7.4, right? He sent me some details. It's 13:1 gears anyway. And I said, that's fine. We can use those, we'll just change the motor. And we'll do the short stroking and shit. Well, the original gears are already short-stroked by fucking 4 teeth. When I saw that, I thought, I wouldn't short-stroke by 4, that's a bit too much. You might get some feed issue, that's a bit weird. But we know the gun works, so Well, the way SEMA have done it, they have taken the 4 teeth off, and if I pull out one of these, they've taken off 4 teeth there. Right? But it seems like they've made that bigger and moved its position, which is smart. Or they've taken 2 from that side and 2 from that side. I don't know how I didn't bother working it out, to be perfectly honest, I didn't bother. But it was already short struck by 4. Now, a qualm that I've got with the SEMA stuff, trying to get the piston heads off of these fucking pistons. Now, SEMA metal racks, these steel racks, they're the best. They're fucking so tough. They're so good. But for what I want to do with this gun, I needed to remove this tooth. And this is the original from this gun. This is the original. Well, I simply changed it out with one of these, because I like these. So I couldn't get the piston head off. I put it in the vise. It still wouldn't fucking come off. So literally, I have replaced the piston head with a takeout from another gun, exact same type of SEMA, and went with this. And what I've done is I've removed the 4 teeth from this end. And these pistons are great. I'll be honest, I can't remember who makes them. I will ask who I got them from, who makes them. But literally, I expected to have to sort of change a bit of AOE and things like that because of the way they short stroke the gear. I didn't have to, because the gear married up absolutely fucking flush, beautifully flush like that. Wow, that's great. It was a little bit noisy, so I re-shimmed it, just re-shimmed it, and then I put the high-speed motor in, and with the 7.4, it was good. On semi-auto, it was good. Full auto wasn't very fast, I've got to say, it wasn't very fast. So I tried it on the 11.1, and yeah. Woo! No way. So I put the standard motor back in. Standard motor. And on the 7.4, it's fine. On 11.1, watch this. MOSFET fires up. Ready? That's fucking epic. Full auto ain't very fast. It's not mad. But that semi, that is fucking gorgeous. The power is now 319 FPS, hopping at 2.5, okay, and that is a 0.2 going through the chrono. That is awesome. That is awesome. That's a fucking 15C, 850 milliamp Bigfoot 11.1. That's fucking amazing! Didn't even change the spring. Didn't change the spring. All I've done to this gun, rotary hop unit, maple leaf rubber, Omega style nub, re-shim. Piston, changed out, short stroke the teeth, re-greased. All I did. Now let's consider it, shall we? Take my fees aside. Fuck them off over there. Now imagine, this is your gun, and you know how to shim, and you know how to change a hot rubber. Compare that, because 200 quid? 200 quid versus VFC's 450. Okay, the externals have the trademarks and things like that, but come on, 200 quid versus 450, and all I had to do was re-shim it and re-grease it. I didn't have to change that piston. It was cycling perfectly fine. It was perfectly fine, but I did it as a precaution. Yeah!